when you're working on development and you are engaging with partner states, many of whom have totally different political systems, economic systems, cultural systems, and so on, the starting point, I think, is to try to understand whether their values and ours can really be shared. And in many countries, they aren't. That's the reality. And my experience working overseas is that unless you can really understand where people are coming from and what their history is, what their culture is, what their education is, where their alliances are, who their neighbours are, unless you can really understand that and you listen and with open ears to try to understand how they will react to a European, then you're in a difficult position unless you've really taken the time to work that through. We have our own set of values, we have guidelines and manuals and log frames and all sorts of things which equip us to manage European taxpayers' money. But for some of the countries where we're working, this is a complete anathema. There is no such concept. And we push accountability, we push governance, we push a certain number of things about the way in which Europeans would deal with things. But frankly, sometimes they're not shared. And so this is a challenge for those who are given the task of managing those resources, often with very bizarre results. I think it's very important when you come from your own culture, whether it's Estonia or Malta or Britain or wherever. The first lesson is how do people react together when you put in an environment with 28 different nationalities. So the first thing for me is an understanding of how Europeans work together. For me, every new recruit coming to the Commission should be given some sort of training course, minimum of a day, to really understand what European values are and how to apply them in your day-to-day work. And then when you go one step further, if you're working on development issues and partnerships, I think you need to have a very deep sense of where you're coming from, where that partnership can lead to a win-win for both parties. Europe is under many strains. You just have to look at what's happened on migration issues, the debates around the Je suis Charlie, and the fragility that can come if the idea that common European values aren't shared. That creates real political problems for the European Union as an entity. So it's incumbent on those who are working within those institutions to try to really understand how the different values and cultures within the European Union work.